Hi, welcome to 2D's Review. I'm Caleb.
And I'm Hannah.
And welcome to the Infinity Wars Recovery Support Group. I mean, the Infinity Wars movie review.
That is accurate.
So we just got back from watching it for the second time, actually. We saw it last night, and then we went ahead and saw it tonight as well. Took a few notes while we were watching it, so we can go ahead and do this review.
Spoilers ahead.
Yeah,
So if you haven't
this
seen
is
it,
the spoiler video. We're going to be doing another video that is spoiler free, but this one, so if you've not seen it, turn off this video right now.
we're giving you warning. If you have not seen it, go see it, save this video, and then come back and watch it.
Yeah, this is your last chance. 3, 2, 1. Everybody dies.
It was just brutal. Just brutal. Oh, so let's start with the beginning. I like that it just jumped right in. Like there was no we're gonna do this slow build and then it was just like, oh, here we go. We're showing the destruction of all the Asgardians that kind of you saw at the end of Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, I didn't know how I felt about it at first because I kind of wanted to see all that fight scenes, but I mean to see the fight scene that Thanos did, pretty much killing all the Asgardians, but at the same time rewatching it and thinking about it, I'm just seeing all the dead bodies. I was like, that's enough. You know what happened. You know it went down.
I don't know that there was much of a fight. I think
that's true.
Yeah, I think it was just he came in and just destroyed everyone except for a handful that we saw that was still alive.
And then, in that opening fight scene when it came, to the Hulk, when he started fighting Thanos, I really liked that, it was almost like a boxing match. And I really liked, Thanos' moves. He was just
I think they've been,
showing him, that he actually knows, hand-to-hand combat. He's not just some
he's been
nobody,
keeping an eye on Cap's moves. He's like, I got it.
Yeah, but, he knows how to. He's a warrior. He knows how to fight. He's not just.
And I liked the setup to that fight with Loki using the line that we have a Hulk.
Oh yeah, because I thought that was a little throwback to the first Avengers.
I thought that was a really cool. It was interesting that it was Loki saying it, but I thought it was a cool throwback to that and knowing. And then that's when you really you see that Loki wasn't betraying Thor and he wasn't. He was just
brings us to our first major casualty, which was Loki's death.
Oh yeah, that brought a gasp in the theater. I will say the first,
I mean, he's been a great character, and I thought it was. I mean, I saw it coming. Long before the movie. I had a list of people I thought were gonna die.
List, yeah.
It was our list, or my list, and her list as well was essentially the same. Was Loki, Vision, and Nebula.
Yeah,
we'll get to the other two later.
Yeah, those were three that I was for sure these three are gonna die.
But yeah, so with Loki, I thought it was a nice send off. He saved
Thor. Essentially,
he stuck up for Thor. He tried to take down the person who he was working for in the first Avengers. He realized the errors of his ways. Tried to put an end to it, and then it ended up costing him his own life.
I liked the little that he was Loki Odinson. And
yeah, he was just beginning to realize the mistakes that he's made in his life. Well,
and I like that he claimed Odin as his father at the end, and was this is
I'm no longer the sheep, the white or the black sheep,
yeah.
The black sheep, the black sheep of the family, and he's this is who I am. But he also claimed that he was the rightful king of Jotunheim.
Yeah.
Too. So it's it's a little hard to say because he's kind of bouncing back and forth there. But it was a necessary death because it added to it was a very dramatic way to open up the movie, which it needed that first punch right at the start. So they did a great job at that. It was a very emotional opening scene, which set the tone for the whole rest of the movie.
Yeah, because then after that, then it was Heimdall and not the Soul Stone, a lot of people thought.
Oh yeah, I totally thought that he had
a lot of people. That was a big running theory was that he was the Soul Stone essentially because of the eyes and the things he said in previous movies.
Yeah, I think it was in the Dark World or something when he
sees all souls.
Yeah, I see 7 billion souls in the universe or something, and then he had a little stone thing on his breastplate in Thor: The Dark World, so people kept thinking oh, he has a soul stone, which
no, he didn't.
No, he just
killed.
He was just awesome, I guess,
yeah.
And then he died.
Yeah, and then Thor blew up.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, but so at that point, Thanos had the power.
Which
and now...
also brings me to something I noted down, which I disliked about the movie, was that they never, if they don't want to, they didn't want to start off the movie with him trying to obtain the Power Stone. They should have flashed back to it rather than just saying, briefly in one sentence.
It was like a throwaway.
Oh, by the way, he pretty much destroyed Xandar to get the Power Stone. I'm like, that was, a really big populated planet. And, if nothing else, they should have at least shown, a brief flashback of him, coming down with his army and, destroying,
had a little cameo with, Glenn Close and, John C. Reilly playing those characters.
Yeah, because, we got to know some of them in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and it would have added a little bit more...
I marked that down, too, because I wasn't thrilled with that, throwaway line where he's he already has the Power Stone, because he, a week ago, he decimated Xandar, and it was whoa,
I was whoa, are we going to see that? That would be something pretty cool to see, but... Whatever.
Maybe they'll bring back the one-shots, and that'll be the one-shot. Thanos destroying Xandar. But, yeah, that was... Yeah, we had the same note. I was like, nah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But, and then, one thing that I knew Loki was going to die, but I was hoping... he was going to get to interact with some of the Avengers a little bit, because I thought that would have been interesting, where he was hey, I tried to kill you all, and now I'm back to help you.
Now I'm teaming up with you guys to put,
I wanted to see him and Stark kind of give some one-liners back and forth. I thought that would have been, really entertaining, but,
there's just so much going on in this movie. It wouldn't have had the same,
punch in the beginning.
Dramatic,
because it just started off with a bang and then just never let up.
Essentially.
Yeah. It just kept going, and then got worse.
Oh, yeah.
Much worse.
And another interesting thing I noted down was, the scenes directly after that was essentially, it showed briefly, Tony Stark on Earth, and then, Doctor Strange comes, and it's really quick jump from there, because then the Ebony Ma and, I forget the other guy's name, but the big guy.
Big guy with the hammer.
Yeah, they came down, and then... the Hulk isn't wanting to cooperate.
Oh, so I have a theory on that.
I have a theory about that as well. Let's see if we have the same one.
I was thinking that he doesn't want to come out because he just got whooped by Thanos.
That's what I have, a Hulk afraid of Thanos. That's what I noted down. I was the Hulk has never faced someone that he couldn't, outpower, unless, Thor, Thor put up a good fight in Ragnarok, but, the Hulk still had a little bit of the upper hand on that, so he's never faced somebody that he wasn't more powerful than, and then all of a sudden, because in that opening fight scene, Thanos, the Hulk had Thanos' hands up, and then all of a sudden Thanos just nope.
Yeah.
And so the Hulk was afraid for the first time in his life, and was I don't want to come out.
Yeah. So that was my theory, was that I was he does not want to face Thanos again. He's Bruce, that is all you. And that was another thing I noted was, do they talk to each other now? Because he was coming out saying no, and then Bruce was talking back, and I was just do they have conversations? Is it just a split? When he's at home by himself, he just turns into Hulk and he says something and another question. Bruce knew who Thanos was and remembered everything that happened. He's never remembered being the Hulk and the events that have happened. So then all of a sudden he's that's Thanos and this is happening and all this. And I was when did he start remembering what's happened when he's the Hulk?
They're starting to progress that a little bit more in a sense the first Avenger, or I guess the Incredible Hulk movie, where he's starting to evolve a little bit with the Hulk, in that it's he's becoming, they're two separate people sharing the same body essentially, but now they're starting to be able to channel each other essentially. So they're slowly building on that with each movie, I feel like.
Well, except for in Ragnarok, he came out and was it's been 2 years.
Well, yeah.
I have no idea. So that's why all of a sudden he he was oh, that's Thanos.
Or maybe Thanos is just something you don't forget.
I guess it just burned into your brain. But yeah, so that was something I was I don't remember him being able to do that before. But so that was a nice little thing. And I know Doctor Strange knows everybody, but I thought it was interesting that when they were telling Tony after, who do you know that can find Vision? And he's oh, I know someone, it's Steve Rogers. And Doctor Strange was just oh, geez.
Well, I'm sure it was a very news, media blow up that everyone knows that everybody knows what happens in a civil war.
I was just I just thought that was kind of a funny, he's just oh, geez, that guy.
Oh, yeah. So, it's, because with media, you got to take it that, the MCU takes place, essentially within the technological era that we live in now, obviously. So
and
with
more
media,
so with all their fancy stuff.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like with media and stuff. So I'm sure the media has painted a very negative light on Steve Rogers now that he's been deemed like a war criminal after Civil War. So like you hear that name and you're just like, oh, like, here we go. Like that's the guy that we have to rely on.
But back to when Doctor Strange comes to get Tony. Do we think that Pepper is pregnant?
That's what I thought. I was like, oh geez, like are they gonna like kill off Iron Man and then like have her like be pregnant with like his kid? Like
that's gonna be the end of Avengers 4. She's like, oh, here's the birth of Tony Jr.
It's like Avengers 4 coming in like 15 years.
So yeah, I was like, I kind of got where they could make that happen, and I think that'd be horrible.
Well, if they kill him off, yeah, that would be horrible. If they don't kill him off, it might be maybe that's an alternative way that they're going to send off the character, where it's like he has a family now. He's like, hey guys, like I can't do this anymore because I can't risk my life. I have to be able to raise my kid.
But we don't know that Pepper survived.
That is also true.
So if she is pregnant and then she's dead, like that's also not great.
That is true. So let's see, what other notes did I make here? Another thing, Thanos has 4 quote unquote children. None of them biological children, but so there's Proxima, Midnight, the Ebony Maw, Corvus Glaive, and then the big guy, I can't remember his name again. But out of all of them, I feel like none of them were really strong character. I feel like the best one was the Ebony Maw.
Yeah, he had
the most personality. Like he had the most speaking parts, and he also had he was also the most interesting. Like his powers wise, his personality, everything was.
And he looks like Squidward.
that might be one of the best lines.
That was a good line. That was a good line.
Oh yeah, that was.
In both showings, that line just killed. Yeah. Like everybody was just dying to the point where I'm like, shh, they're back talking. Like I can't hear what's going on.
I mean, yeah, you don't even have to be a fan of SpongeBob to know exactly like who Squidward is. Like everyone gets that joke, and it was pretty amazing.
That was a good one-liner.
But like he was definitely the most interesting. Like the other 3 were like very like brute and like very like, oh, we're just gonna kill you. Like we're gonna take it by force. Whereas he is a little bit more finesse.
I feel like he's
like almost like a trickster.
Well, he's like I feel like the top dog of them, where he's coming down to be like, oh, you could be children of Thanos and like blah blah. He's giving like this like political speech before they kill everyone.
And when they hit the other guy back towards him, he was just like,
yeah,
he's like, I don't really care about you. Like you don't hit me. Like nope,
you're not hitting me, and I'm gonna split this car, and you're not gonna hit me. Yeah. So yeah, he definitely was the best one of his children. But yeah, and then so I have this note. Then when they cut to Wanda and Vision, I just write down human Vision is creepy because there's just something wrong. I mean, I know essentially that's Paul Bettany and like it's just him, but it's like
a little eerie seeing like
Vision
knowing him as
human,
Vision, and then like
and it's just like I was like, it's so creepy. Like go back to your like colored like ness and uniform.
Well, I think he was like incognito, so he was like trying to disguise himself. Well, he instead of having the hat and aviators, he was like, I'm just gonna go human, and then people won't recognize me.
I mean, it was super creepy. And don't get me started on their whole relationship, because that's just, in my opinion, really weird.
It is weird, but like I don't know.
I know that's like in the comics that they were like a thing, but it's just like he's not a human. Like he's not a person. I know he's like evolved and he's
pretty much a human. Like he has a personality and he's intelligent.
Like, I don't know. I just find that and the age gap is really quite large.
Well, he's only he's like a year old and she's like
yeah, the opposite. It's the opposite.
She's like 27 years older than he is.
Well, no, because she's only, like, they've always referred to her as a kid, so she's not, like, I don't know, like...
I don't know how old she's
I mean, I feel like Cap says that, but everybody's a kid to Cap, because he's, like, 100, and so everybody else is a kid, but, I think that her and, like, Quicksilver were supposed to be, like...
Just like how Thanos kept calling Gamora a little one, even though she's grown now.
Well, but she is little, yeah.
Well, I mean, compared to him, like, she killed the lady.
But... Yeah, so the whole Wanda and Vision thing, I mean, I knew it was coming from Civil War. I knew that was going to happen, but I was still, like, hoping it wouldn't. But, I mean, it was still sad to see, like...
Because, like, it created, like, a lot more drama towards the end of the movie, which I guess we can come back to once we get there. Another interesting thing that I noted down was in the flashback where we see Thanos taking Gamora. I really like the tie-in that he had the Chitauri army.
Oh yeah. You see like
I forget what it's called, but
not the destroyer.
No,
it's
something.
The
big worm things. Like the name.
Called.
Yeah, the name escapes me right now. I wonder with all these cameras and lights on and everything. But
all these cameras, we have 5 of them.
But I thought it was a really nice tie-in. Like when I first saw it, I was like, "Oh, like that's actually like really cool," because like it, shows that like it's a nice little tie-in to the first Avengers.
There were a lot of tie-ins throughout. It's like if you haven't seen all of the movies, then there's going to be a lot of little nods that are just going to go over your head that you're not even going to.
Which I mean, I feel like it wouldn't necessarily hurt like the story of the movie. Like you could like if you didn't recognize that it was the Chitauri from the first one, like it wouldn't be a big deal. But for those who are like really big fans, like those are really like awesome moments when you're just like wow, like like those little tie-ins are like what makes this movie like really great, because then it all of a sudden makes you remember.
It's like it
makes you remember all the drama that happened in the first Avengers, and that like he's the one that's caused like everything. Like he's been the puppet master behind like the whole MCU. Like this is what everything has been leading to, which I mean, And
I will say there is one thing which you won't get this reference because you haven't seen this television show, but the Russo brothers were involved with Arrested Development and Community, so there's always been like little nods. In Civil War you saw the stair car, and in this one I don't know if anybody saw it, but when they were going to nowhere to get the
Reality Stone,
the Reality Stone, in the background behind them is Tobias Funke. He's blued himself and he's in one of the containers, and that's a reference to Arrested Development, which they directed and did things on. So I was like, I saw it and I was like, ah. I was like, anybody? So if you haven't seen it and you're planning to see the movie again, like look for it. It's like right over Gamora's shoulder when they kind of cut back to them, and he's like right behind her, and you can see that there's a blue person. That is Tobias Funke. So I thought that was like a really cool thing because they've always added Arrested Development and Community things into the movies that they've directed. So they never forget their roots.
And so a nice little segue into being on Nowhere, where the Guardians confront Thanos. I don't want to get on this other topic first because I also have something else that's also kind of related to what I'm about to say. But so I, more so than her, a lot more so than her, I have I have knowledge of the comics that the movies are based on. Because I'll read through. A few years ago I read through like the Infinity Gauntlet comic book series, and Thanos Rising, and all these other ones that had to do with Thanos and everything like that when I knew that they were going to be leading to this in a few years. And I reread them recently over the last few months, and there was the scene where Drax gets turned into like the clay or marble, and Mantis like becomes like that curly thing. That's actually directly in the Infinity Gauntlet comic book, where it wasn't those two characters, but the two characters that happen to in the comics aren't in the MCU, so it doesn't really matter. But those were nice little things because he actually did that in the comics, and so when I saw it, I was like, oh, like this is like a little nod for those who actually like read the comics and know a little bit more about that background. And I thought that little Easter egg was actually was really cool.
Yeah, and the whole between Thanos and Gamora in Nowhere, I have to say I was surprised between her initially I was surprised at her emotion to essentially what she thought was killing Thanos. And I was kind of surprised, but then, like, I also kind of understood. Like, he essentially raised her, even though she hated him.
Yeah.
Like...
So, yeah, that's something I also... I mean, I just put, I noted it down as well, that the whole relationship throughout the whole movie between Thanos and Gamora was, like, a really interesting and strong storyline throughout
that
the movie.
Was like,
but their
a
little
thread,
pairing,
like throughout,
like all the way through to the Soul Stone, like that, like their relationship and their back and forth was like amazing. Like that was one of my favorite parts of the movie.
I was surprised because I wasn't expecting not only her but the Guardians to have such like a prominent role in this movie. Like, I mean, I knew they were going to be in it, obviously,
right?
But I wasn't expecting it to be like
what it was.
Yeah, like you guys are up like almost front and center. It felt like through like part of the movie, you know.
Yeah, and seeing her reaction to thinking that she killed Thanos, like she was really upset. And then when it comes back full circle, when he's about to kill her for the Soul Stone, then like he was crying, and it's like there was that father-daughter relationship there, even though obviously it was a very dysfunctional father-daughter relationship.
To say
but
least.
Like that had added so much emotion and so much depth to the movie, like seeing their relationship, and then like having it come full circle where she thought he had killed her, and then he ended up killing her. I mean, she thought she had killed him, and then he ended up killing her, and like it just like like it added
Thanos a depth that I wasn't expecting.
Thanos is probably the best villain that Marvel has put out to date.
Yeah,
because
I would say that. Yeah,
he's not just some boring, forgettable like, oh, I just want to take over the galaxy for no reason. Like he has a lot of character and a lot of depth to him. Like he's not wanting to do these things, but he feels like he has to.
It's not just like an empty, like I'm gonna take over the world.
Like he feels like he's saving the world. You're saving the universe.
He has like this conviction where he's like, I'm saving the universe.
Like nobody else will do this, so I have to. And it's like he didn't want to kill Gamora. He doesn't want to do these things, but he feels like if he doesn't, then the galaxy is doomed.
Yeah.
And so he's a tragic character in that sense. And like he's. Like his character was amazing throughout the movie, and by far the best villain that Marvel has ever developed.
Yeah, but now let's go back to
we jumped really far.
Let's go back to the Soul Stone. Gamora taking him to where the Soul Stone is, to what is my favorite throwback of the movie, because one, I was hoping he was going to be in this movie because we never saw he didn't die. So I kept waiting for this thread, that to come back, because I was like, they have to have closure on him. We have to know what happened to him. But when they show the up close and he kind of, you see him, and you see the red skull, I was like, yes.
I feel like everyone in our Thursday showing was everyone, like, myself included. I was like, to see him.
There were so many gasps throughout the movie, but that one let out a big gasp. Everybody was just like, oh.
it was like we hoped, because we had talked before we ever saw the movie that we hoped that he was going to be in it, but it was never confirmed, and we never knew for sure whether or not he was going to be it. So to actually see him was still kind of caught us off guard, and then to see him, it was just like wow, like this. That was an awesome reference, awesome tie-in.
It was very I was very excited to see him. I mean, my hope was that he was always gonna have been working for Thanos. And that he was going to come back to Earth, and Steve was actually going to get to kill him for real, and that he was going to that was going to be like this full circle. It was going to be like this full circle moment where it started, Cap and Red Skull, and then he was going to see him again and be like, does nobody die? Like, what is happening? But I was so glad that they threw that reference in. I wish they had gotten the actor that played him, because I searched it up and it wasn't. You know who it is? Who? It's Ross Marquand, he's on The Walking Dead as Aaron, and he's really good at impressions.
Yeah.
So it was close, but I knew when I saw it on Thursday, I was like, there's something off, and I don't think it's the actor, because who's the actor? I can't think of his name, but he, I knew it didn't sound quite right, so I had to search it up, because I was like, I don't think it was him.
Hugo Weaving?
Yeah, Hugo Weaving, that's who it is. I was like, what is his name? But so that was by far my favorite throwback and nice kind of tying up loose ends that I feel like they kind of did throughout the movie. Which
and it wasn't too much. It was just like a nice little touch where it's like, here's this character, we're just gonna wrap up his story, because we people have been talking about whatever happened to the Red Skull. He didn't die. We saw him get transported out into space. And it was just the question was never answered, and we never knew where he was. So to see what his fate was, which is just to ferry people over to a treasure that he wants but he can never have, because he doesn't love anything and doesn't love anybody, and there's nobody there that he can sacrifice.
His soul is gone.
Um,
his car. He doesn't have his car.
So it was an interesting, and I feel like nice fate for him because he was a villain, so I guess he deserves to
just
have
be tortured by being around an Infinity Stone but not being able to get it. So that was my favorite nod. I liked seeing Gamora being, before they went into the Soul Stone, being, trying to save Nebula. Because Nebula's kind of starting to become, like, a favorite character of mine, just because she
like the actress?
Yeah, I do. I really do like Karen Gillan.
We've just been binge watching, like, Doctor Who, and we're at the point where she's the companion, and she's really good at it.
Yeah, but I just like her character, because she doesn't give a crap. She's just like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and she wants to kill Thanos, even though she didn't succeed, because he, like, caught her trying to sneak onto his ship and kill him.
Although he said she came close, so
yes,
it was interesting.
So I liked that, and then I liked the flip where Nebula's trying to, figure out what happened to Gamora, which, when Thanos has to sacrifice Gamora, I thought Nebula was going to come in and save her. I kept thinking as she's falling, Nebula is going to come in on that ship and save her, and then Thanos is going to be like, crap, what is wrong with you?
And really quick, before we move on to another topic, on that scene with Thanos and Gamora, and it's also toward the end when it's with Thanos and Scarlet Witch, the music in this movie I thought was really well. Like that dramatic music that they had in that scene when Thanos was crying when he was about to kill Gamora, as well as when Scarlet Witch was blasting him at the end when she was trying to kill Vision.
I feel like the build of it.
And like the music that they had chose for both of those scenes just added so much to the drama and to just like the sorrow. Like their music choice on this movie I felt was really well done. More like it stuck out more in my mind than in previous Marvel movies where I didn't know, like, the music didn't really...
Unless it's like Guardians, where it's like...
Well, yeah, that's a whole different thing, but yeah.
But you mean, like, the score of it.
I just wanted to throw that in there because I thought that this music in the movie was really well done.
But, so the killing of Gamora, we picked the wrong sister.
We picked the wrong sister. We had picked
both thought Nebula.
And then it ended up being... I never saw Gamora coming.
I didn't see that
I wasn't super devastated by her death. Like, I was really surprised. I did not see it coming.
Our theater again.
Yeah, like, at first I didn't think it was going to happen either. I was like, there's no way. And then it's just like... And I was like...
Yeah, and then when they pan back and they show her, and I was like, oh. I
did not.
And then they show Thanos with the Soul Stone, and you're like, oh, okay, she's dead.
Yeah, I did not see that coming. It was
truly dead. Yeah, so that was a big shock. I wasn't expecting Gamora. I actually thought that the expendable Guardian was going to be Drax. I figured if they were going to kill one of the Guardians, it was going to be him. Although I have to say, I liked Drax better in this movie than I did in Guardians 2, because he wasn't just laughing the whole time. I have a big issue with Guardians 2, because Drax is just laughing the entire movie, and it was kind of grating to me a little. So this, it was more like first Guardians Drax. Like, he had some one-liners in there, he had some funny moments, but he wasn't just, like, laughing hysterically at everything that's happening. I mean, no, there's nothing to laugh at, because everybody was dying, but, like, it was nice to see, like... almost the Guardians 1 Drax. Yeah, but so I actually thought he was going to die if they were going to kill off a Guardians member. But it was, Gamora dying. I was like, oh, jeez. I was like, all right, Guardians 3 is going to be really good. But then, we cut to...
Well, let's... we've been talking a lot about what we liked in the movie. Now let's talk about something that I actually really disliked in the movie, and that's Thor's story arc.
Really? I actually was okay with his arc.
Well, so it started off with, like, it was, he met up with the Guardians, that whole scene was funny, it was great, and then...
Gamora caressing his arms.
And, like, his interactions with the Guardians and everything, but then when he split off with Rocket, like, even their little talk on the ship when, he was talking about, like, everything that he's lost and all that, and, like, that was a nice scene between him and Rocket. But the whole story, like, there's so much time spent of the movie with him
trying to get his hammer.
Creating his hammer.
Yeah.
And like, they just spent so much time, like, throughout the movie, they kept cutting back to it, that he was making this hammer, and it was all for, so at the very end of the movie, he throws it at him, and then, like, it sticks in his chest, and it doesn't kill him, and, like, and we knew it wasn't going to, so it's like, they spent so much time of the movie for something that didn't pay off, and it was, like, I just feel like it was so wasted, it was a lot of wasted time.
Well, I mean, Thanos said it, you should have gone for the head.
Well, yes, but I felt like that was just I like his new hammer. I just wish it would have been accomplished much quicker. I feel like they wasted too much time.
I can agree with that. Like, I liked the story, but it was very dragged out because I feel like they were trying to drag out him coming to help Cap and everybody in Wakanda.
Because that's what I would have preferred, having him interact more with the Avengers. Yeah. That's another thing that I disliked the first time.
Everybody's kind of separated.
Is that everyone is separated. So
I would have liked to have seen a Cap and Tony.
A scene together.
I would have liked to.
I would have just liked to have all the Avengers. I mean, I know there's another one coming, but like, I would have liked to in this movie to have seen all of them together. Like, you know, those were some of the best moments in the previous Avengers movies. Was like that interaction because they're all so different and they all like butt heads a lot, and that creates a lot of interesting group dynamic and a lot of interesting drama. And that's what this movie was lacking because they're all split in different locations and all on their own things. I have a note that we can
get to later about that. But I can agree with that it needed... I would have liked to, even if they all went their separate ways to go fight, I would have liked to at least seen them...
come together in the end. Like, if he would
have... Or even when Cap and Black Widow show up, it would have been cool if Tony was there. And then they could have been like, we're going to take Vision here. And then Tony, like, at least have some sort of interaction between the two of them, because I think that would have just really like put this movie over the top because they're like the two main two main like Avengers.
Yeah.
And they, they're not friends anymore. They had a falling out. But so yeah, I can agree with that. I would have liked to have seen at least one scene where they were together, whether it's right before Thanos comes to New York or something, or even at the end, because like the end, like Tony still is, and now he's stuck there because Doctor Strange isn't around. So,
that's one of the things I wrote on my first page. I was like, how is Iron Man gonna get off Titan? But then I remembered that Gamora's still there, so there's probably some kind of flyable ship. Nebula.
Yeah.
Not Gamora.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Nebula.
And so I'm like, either she's gonna fly him off, or like Thor has the hammer that can like access the Bifrost now, so he might be able to get to Titan to bring them back.
I mean, that's a really convenient.
That's a nice. Yes. Like, why didn't he make the hammer like years ago? I don't know, but
he wasn't worthy. He wasn't king. This was a king's hammer.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Why didn't Odin have it?
But yeah, so I would have liked to see them all together. But the scene when like all the Guardians minus dead Gamora are fighting Thanos on Titan.
Oh, that was a good fight scene.
It was just like there was just so much. There was just so much going on. Like they kept trying and he kept fighting them back, and then, one of my favorite moments is when Doctor Strange
have like 50 arms and then
is when he keeps opening things and like Spider-Man keeps coming through and like kicking him and doing those little like one-liners.
Oh yeah. Magic again, magic with a kick.
Yeah. I was just like, oh man. Yeah, so that was like a nice little like funny, without taking you out of the scene.
Yeah, like, it's not like stupid humor. It's just like humor. But that whole fight scene between Iron Man and the Guardians and Spider-Man against Thanos on Titan, that was a pretty good fight scene.
That was a good fight scene. And when Tony gets stabbed...
Oh, my heart stopped. Iron Man is my favorite character. I know that Cap is yours, but like obviously we still like all the characters. At the end of the day, when he stabbed him, I was just like, I can't believe he's dead.
Just like not after the initial like shock. I mean, it was just silent. Like there was everybody was just stunned. I was on the edge of my seat, and I was like, I can't believe they just killed off Iron Man. Like, I was like, I figured like maybe Avengers 4. I didn't think it was going to be in this one.
and then he didn't, and I was
because he has that nanotech now that he's using on his suit. So like that's very convenient when you.
Yeah, because Thanos like ripped off his helmet, and then a new one came on, and I'm like, he probably thought like his fight with Captain America when he ripped his helmet off, and he's like, I wish I would have had another helmet.
I wish I had something to protect myself.
So it's nice to see. It's nice to see like him. Like take flaws that he sees in fight scenes from previous movies and be like, I need to upgrade this, and like to see Iron Man's suit's progression throughout the movies, And like earlier on when like the things came out of his back and it was like shooting,
I was like, whoa.
Like his suit was amazing in this one.
really upgraded. But yeah, so that whole scene, and then
and then it got worse from there.
And then Tony being like pissed at Doctor Strange for giving him
so I have something to say about this. So Doctor Strange did his little future vision quest thing where he saw like over 1 million different possible outcomes.
14 million or something.
And then they only had one outcome where they won.
Yeah.
And so in that one that he saw that they won, Iron Man must have been alive, and that's why he traded the time stone for his life, because he's like, if Iron Man dies, we're not going to win this one. And so like that must have been part of the one that he saw.
He even says later,
like, we're in the end game now.
And then later he said this was the only way. This was the only way, or
this had to happen, something like that. So that one outcome that the Avengers actually beat Thanos, Iron Man must have been alive, and he's like, I can't let him die. Like, I have to keep him alive at any cost.
As much as I hate you as a person, I have to keep you alive. But yeah, so that was so he's initially pissed, but then when Thanos then goes to where Cap and Black Widow and they're all in Wakanda trying to separate Vision from the Mind Stone to still keep, so Vision can still be Vision, but then
they can destroy the Mind Stone without killing Vision.
But so it was nice. I mean, they're all calling Bucky the White Wolf now. That's just a thing. And I liked, you saw a lot of the, Black Panther just came out, so it's like all those characters are still really fresh. So you kind of see them all, which is really nice. Like you see M'Baku and you see all the armies and his sister and all that. So it was kind of a nice little tie-in with all of those characters. But once Thanos' children come down and all those whatever the crap those things were,
they're called Outriders.
They were weird, and
even
Bucky was just like, what the? So
and then Steve is like, this is just another day. You haven't been in the future very long.
But yeah, so then that whole fight sequence between all of those things rushing in, and first of all, Cap and Black Panther having like a race.
that was good.
That was good. I like that.
Cap's like, this is the first guy I can't pass. Like, what the heck?
They were neck and neck. It was nice where he's like, I want to say on your right, but I'm not passing you. So that was like kind of like a funny thing as they're running out. Like you see Black Panther head, and then all of a sudden you see Cap just being like, "I'm right here with you now." Like, but so yeah, that whole fight sequence was just insane because there was just so much going on, and Bruce in the Hulkbuster suit was, I mean,
it was a nice little comedic relief during all the drama. I just wish that we would have gotten a little bit more of that fight scene. Like it was rather quick.
Because they kept
flashing back to Thor and Iron Man and everything on Titan, but it was just like it wasn't a super long fight, and so I wish they would have, if they would have cut Thor's making the hammer storyline down a little bit more. I wish they could have focused a little bit more on that fight because there was a lot going on, and it just kind of resolved rather quickly, which I know like the real drama of the movie was still coming with Thanos. So he didn't even need an army. It was just he was enough by himself.
He had like 5 of the stones.
Yeah, at that point. But to still see that like massive war would have been a little bit better. Just not too much more. Like I'm not saying like it had to be like the first Avengers where it was like 45-50 minutes of them fighting off the Chitauri, but just a little bit more. I feel like would have been really nice to have seen. It would have been a little bit entertaining. But Thor showing up in that Avengers theme, and like Bruce was like, "Oh, you guys are all screwed now."
And him just being like the lightning, like it wasn't Ragnarok, like the lightning's coming through him, like his eyes are glowing.
He's more powerful than he's ever been. He was just like new hammer, got power, and
so that was like pretty like an epic moment when he comes down and you see his hammer first, and it's going around like knocking people back, and then
all the Avengers expressions, they're just like, oh, thank you, like we needed
where
this.
Have you been?
And it's just,
yeah, so that was like a pretty cool.
It was like, like a turning point. Like, there's some hope we might actually be able to win this. And then that's when Thanos shows up, and you're like, no, no.
But I did like the little. I like the interaction between Thor and Cap. When he's like,
you're cupping
my beard. Because he's like, you got a haircut. And then he's like, you're cupping my beard. And then when he introduces Cap to Groot and he says, this is my tree. This is my friend Tree.
I am Groot.
And he's like, yeah, I am Groot. And then Cap's like, I am Steve Rogers. Like, that was pretty good. But it didn't. And then, I really liked, I liked when, like, the big things were coming in the fight scene, and then Scarlet Witch comes in and like saves them, and then
how come she was up
Okoye was like, "Why has she been up there this whole time?" I was like, "That was good."
But she was guarding Vision though, because then Proxima Midnight was like, "She's in the field now, go," and then Corvus Glaive was hiding up there until she left, so he could get the Mind Stone. So they were purposely trying to lure her.
No, I know, it was just like a funny.
But it was funny. It's like, why is she up there?
Yeah, like she's way better than all of you. Why is she up there?
Like the rest of you go up and guard Vision. She just stays down here and fights. So.
But so that whole fight scene between like Proxima and like Black Widow and Scarlet Witch and Okoye, like that was all. I like really liked that whole sequence. Like that was a really cool sequence. But then you cut to Cap saving Vision, and then Vision saving Cap, and then Thanos.
All right, we've been dreading getting to this moment, but so Thanos shows up, and then that whole scene between Scarlet Witch and Vision was very interesting, because like the whole they've been building up this romantic thing ever since Age of Ultron. Like they've been setting this up since the very beginning, but it's just like she has to kill him to save everybody, and then she does, like, she makes that sacrifice, and she must feel awful about herself, and then just to have Thanos just go and be like, nope, I'm turning back time, and I'm getting it anyway.
Yeah, and she's watching it, and
then she's just like, oh crap, like.
But I liked right before that happens, like, I mean, first, initially, everybody's going after him, and he's just, like, waving them off, like, nobody's gonna
he's just, like, boom, like Black Panther, he just, like, punches them into the ground, and Cap, and like, everybody
And then you see Cap again, like, pop up, and he does that sliding thing, and then you see it where it's in the trailer, where he, like, catches his hand, and then essentially he just, like, punches him into the ground, But
then I like the Hulkbuster, like he just like makes him like intangible, and then he just like puts him into the wall.
Yeah, and then he like crumpled up Rhodey, and I was like, Rhodey's been crumpled up enough. I don't.
It's like with that much power, like there's just no way.
Yeah, and then once he reverses it, and then Thor sends his axe into his chest,
him,
and then he snaps like that. You don't know what's coming at first. You're just like. Like, cause then they cut. Cause then they cut to that scene, and I'm like, did he just like kill himself? Like, where he's with young Gamora.
Now that scene that he cut to with baby Gamora was also very interesting. We talked earlier about the depth of Thanos, and she's like, like, did you do it? And he was like, yeah. And then she was like, what did it cost you? And he's just like, everything.
Yeah, because and essentially, because I mean. To him, obviously, he sacrificed. Gamora was everything. Like
he lost his 4 other children.
Well, and he even said earlier that he had always hoped Gamora would sit on his throne. So he had always had this
that she would be his successor.
So
and so it like shows you that he's not just this brute evil character. He's just like, I had to do what I had to do, and it cost me everything. Like I have nothing left, but I did it to. Accomplish this mission.
And then they cut back to his like singed glove. I'm like, is it like a one use? Like he snapped and then like that was it.
That was it.
Yeah, then Thor's just like, what did you do? But then like you don't really see it. Like Thanos leaves and then you're just kind of like, well,
was that it?
Yeah, okay. And then
that's
Bucky's the first one, and there was quite a few like big gasps during this sequence. Bucky got the first one because he was the first person that we saw disappear.
And he's just like, Steve, and then he was just like,
and then he was gone, and everybody just like, what's going on? Like, oh crap. And then they're showing some other,
and then it like
the big surprises for me. Black Panther.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, okay. I was not quite expecting that. So I wasn't expecting the entire Guardians team.
Yeah, all of the Guardians
except for Rocket.
Except for Rocket, yeah. And then like Groot, and I was like, not again!
I know,
like,
I was like,
no. Don't say we are Groot, just don't say it.
I'm like, can we like grab your dust and like somehow regrow you?
Like, let's try this one more time.
But then, like, the other big gasp was...
Oh, Spider-Man.
Well, no, there was one before... Oh, Black Panther was the second big one, where everybody was just like, oh, like, what is happening?
And then Falcon.
And then you see Falcon, and you see all these...
Scarlet Witch, and all these other, like, major characters.
But then Spider-Man.
Oh,
Spider-Man was, like, the saddest, just because...
He was like a kid, and he was just like, I don't want to go, I don't want to... Like, he knew what was coming, and he didn't want to die.
Pleading, like, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. And I was like...
That,
and that's when...
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, so at that scene, on Thursday night, our theater is just dead quiet. Poor choice of words. Our theater is quiet. Like, it is silent in there because everybody is just like mind is just blown. Like,
you can't even comprehend. Like, we are all in shock.
Everything's quiet. There's this kid who's maybe like 10, sitting next to us.
10 years old, and like he was bawling. He was crying his eyes out.
Before the Spider-Man, he had already started, and then he just kept seeing all these characters, and he's just like bawling. And I was just like, I felt like really bad, but then was like, you know, as an adult, like you knew people were gonna die, but as a kid, you just think, oh, these are fun movies, and then you're just like, oh, my favorite people are dying. But then he wasn't the only one crying because the theater was so quiet, you could just hear sniffling like all around. People were just like losing it in there.
That was the toughest scene in the MCU to date. Like it was a hard scene to watch.
Just like that whole sequence where you're just seeing people disappear, and you're just, I mean, I was just sitting there like.
Like I knew it was coming, because once again, like I read the comics, so I have a little bit more knowledge. Like it's not always exact when it comes to the comics. Like it's not like page for page, but they take a lot of the main ideas, and a lot of the main events that happen, and so I knew, use it with different characters and things like that. But yeah, in the comics, this is what he did. He wiped out half the life in the universe, and it was called the Great Disappearance, and half of the Avengers were gone, like what we saw in the movies, like, and that was in issue 1 of 6 in the Infinity Gauntlet series. So like that was just the start, which is why there's another Avengers movie coming out, because he's just getting started.
Well, what I found interesting at the end is that all the original
Avengers I noticed that too.
Are alive. I was like, there's Cap, Black Widow, Tony is alive, Hulk. Bruce Banner is alive, and we don't know. Hawkeye and Ant-Man weren't in this movie, so a lot of people kept thinking that they were gonna like sneak in, and people thought they saw Ant-Man on some of the posters, and they weren't in this movie. But so we don't. I mean, I assume
they're still alive.
Hawkeye and Ant-Man are still alive, but assuming Hawkeye is still alive, yeah, like all the original Avengers are survived.
Which is going to be kind of nice going into Avengers 4 because
I think it's
going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot similar to the first Avengers, where it's a very tight knit
and which I feel like
of movie that they need, because it's going to be the original Avengers, essentially all the founding members against what started it all.
And it's the end of Phase 3, so I feel like that's only fitting that it's like these characters that started this whole journey are the ones left at the end, to fight the final battle and do all that. Like I was like. The final sequence, they're kind of showing all the people, and I was like, they're all alive.
With a few others like Rocket and
and Brody. Which
I know that Ant-Man.
I was surprised it was Brody. I kind of thought it might have been like Falcon. Bucky or Falcon that would have survived. Well, I mean, I definitely thought Black Panther was going to survive. But then so you see all that, and then they cut to the end credit scene, and I'm thinking that they're gonna set up. Which they kind of did, but I thought they were going to set up something a little more. But you see Maria Hill, which I've always been a fan of Maria Hill in this universe. I don't know how she is in the comics. And, and then Nick Fury, who we haven't seen that often lately.
It was a funny sequence, but at the same time, like when it first came on, and then they all started disappearing, and I was like, more? I was like, we can't take more of this.
Yeah, and then, like, she goes, and I was like, oh, no. And then, I'm like, okay, but he's okay. And then, like, nope, he's gone. And then
it sets up for Captain Marvel. So for those of you who don't know or not, big on, like, the comic books or don't know what's coming, like, yeah, it was setting up for Captain Marvel, her movie comes out in March of next year. And then she's been confirmed to be in Avengers 4. So that little star logo with the red and blue on that little computer device, whatever it was,
pager.
Yeah, was Captain Marvel's logo. So it was just kind of setting up for that movie because Nick Fury is in that movie because it's in the past. It takes place like in the 1990s.
Yeah,
so Coulson, it's a little bit with Coulson as well. He's going to be in it, so I'm excited for that.
There's a character from not only Ronan, but there's another character from Guardians that's going to be in it too. That
I can't remember his name is, but the guy with the computer thing in his head
that was fighting Star-Lord at the very beginning of the movie. Yeah, that guy. I can't think of his name.
I know it's like on the
so he's gonna be in it too, so that'll be kind of cool. But so what do you think is gonna happen in Avengers 4? Because my theory is that they're going to somehow reverse time enough to bring some characters back and not all of them. Because we know there's a Spider-Man sequel, and I don't think Sony's going to be like, oh, please kill off a successful Spider-Man that we haven't had in 50 years.
Wait, we didn't agree to that?
Since Tobey Maguire. So yeah, they're going to be
Sony didn't get to read the script, so when they're watching the movie, they're like, what?
You can't kill him off. We finally have a good one.
And Black Panther, too, because
Black Panther, yeah, he's going to, he'll come back. So I was like, I feel like there are some characters that will, but then
I feel like Gamora is going to stay dead.
Well, because hers happened so early on, so I feel like she might be staying
Loki
dead.
and all that.
Yeah,
and I think Vision is going to stay dead.
Yeah, and I think Vision. And I think Scarlet Witch might stay dead.
Because what I think is going to happen, part of it's just based on the comics, part of it is just based on just intuition and just my own fan theory, kind of all mixed into one. But I mean, obviously, yeah, they're going to defeat Thanos, and they're going to have removed the gauntlet, and one of them is going to put it on, maybe Captain Marvel, and she's going to use it to reverse what he did, because I mean, you can't move the MCU on with half of life wiped out. You can't leave it like that. It's just that would be awful. I mean, it didn't stay like that in the comics either. It got reversed that way. Yeah. But I do see somebody putting on the gauntlet, whoever that might be, and reversing most of the damage that he did. But then they said there's going to be other deaths that are going to be permanent. So I still think Iron Man is going to die at the end of Avengers 4.
I still think Cap is going to die. I mean, I'm hoping he doesn't.
So maybe it's
all of them.
Maybe it's after he gets his gauntlet off, and maybe it's just Thanos as a person against Iron Man or against Captain America. And he kills them without the gauntlet, and maybe they don't get brought back for some reason or something along those lines. But I feel like it's going to get, or maybe it gets reversed.
But not all the deaths can be reversed.
Oh, no, but maybe they reverse it, but then it's still an ongoing conflict. And then that's when additional characters die, and maybe one of the stones breaks, and now they don't have that full power to bring people back, or whatever the case may be. But, I mean, I feel like there are going to be permanent deaths.
Oh yeah,
I mean, more permanent deaths coming in.
Kevin Feige's already said that there's gonna there's
but the permanent deaths could be like Loki and Gamora and be like, okay, well, that's it. But
I think that I think there's gonna be some major Avengers deaths that are gonna stay.
Otherwise, Avengers 4 is just gonna be nothing compared to what Avengers 3 was. Yeah. This was the most dramatic,
Oh yeah, I've never
been so nervous going into a Marvel movie, and I've never been so anxious watching it. I've
never experienced a movie where the entire. I mean, and we've gone to all of them, but in Star Wars and all the other ones, but I've never experienced what that movie did with the theater. Everybody in that theater on Thursday was just so zoned in, and everybody was gasping together, and everybody was just so zoned in. And when there wasn't a lot of going on, it was so quiet because everybody was just focused in. And yeah, I think that was where I couldn't fully relax watching it. I just felt what is going to happen next, because there's so much going on. But it's definitely, I mean, I don't know if I want to say it's the best. I mean, it might be the best Marvel movie to date. And, it's hard for me because Winter Soldier is still just...
It's hard for me because, the first Avengers was my favorite. Mm-hmm. It might still be my favorite. Mainly because, I really love that group dynamic that we didn't get in this one. And that was part of, one of my favorite scenes in the first Avengers movie. not the first Avenger movie, but the first Avengers movie, was that scene in the helicarrier when they're all like arguing with each other, and like Bruce Banner's like, we're not a team, and like Iron Man and Cap are going back at it, and it's all these heroes that are all good guys, but they're not getting along, and they're all butting heads, and like that was one of like my favorite dynamics of the group and of the team, and then they had to like get past that to work together.
Coulson dying, that was your favorite part.
No. What would have been bad is if Thanos had brought him back, and they're like, Coulson! And then he just kills him again. They're like, no!
I mean, he is alive, so...
another thing we talked about, which I'm so glad they didn't do, was I said the only thing that would have made that like disappearance scene even worse was if they had flashed to Stan Lee's character driving the bus and having him like disappear too. That would have been game over. That would have pushed it over the edge.
And like I said, like I could see that being a way to kind of stop his appearances because he's getting older and his health maybe isn't the greatest, so he is going to have to stop doing. So it would have been like a nice way to, not nice. It was awful. But it would have been a way.
It would have been a logical way
to stop his appearances.
Stop the appearances, but that would have been.
Yeah, that would have been too much.
That would have been it would have made it like 10 times worse. Like there wouldn't have been a dry eye in the whole place.
I mean, and there already weren't a lot because we could hear crying from all sides. But all in all.
What would you rate this out of 10? Like, would you give it a 10 out of 10?
Maybe like a 9.5. I feel like.
Well, okay. Well, what would you give the Winter Soldier?
I mean, to me, that's a 10. But I don't know. I mean, I have to like. It's hard. It's hard. They're so neck and neck to me now. Like I couldn't say the Winter Soldier is the clear top, and this or that one or Infinity War is the clear top. I feel like they're both just up there for me right now. But I mean, because I've seen The Winter Soldier so many times, but I still just love that movie.
I mean, The Winter Soldier is definitely in my top 5, might be top 3, but I mean, as of right, it's too early to tell where Infinity Wars is gonna fall. Like, I feel like it's still so fresh. Like, I still haven't accepted everything in my mind. They're still all alive and they're still good.
It was.
But yeah, so once it kind of like sets in a little bit, like maybe 3, 4, or 5 months from now, when I go to but I mean when I go and buy the DVD or Blu-ray, and like be able to watch it again. Like watch it again, and maybe even watch it within the flow. I mean, I know we just finished binge watching all the movies.
Yeah, we just watched all of them before this.
But I need to have a little bit of time and like see like how, because I'm still so emotionally I'm still so emotionally affected by the movie, because even like the second time was a little bit easier because I knew it was coming, but it was still it's still so hard to watch, and like that reaction it evokes in you, when a year from now when we go to rewatch it, it's not going to have that same effect anymore. I mean, that little bit of magic is going to be gone.
That effect the second time when we saw it just now.
It did a little bit, not nearly as strong, but like right when Thanos came onto it, I was just like, oh man,
part of it for me too was that this theater wasn't as engaged, and I feel like I blame the recliners because we went to one that had recliners for this viewing, and I feel like maybe people were too relaxed and they weren't like. Well,
but I also feel like only like the hardcore nerds go to like the Thursday first showing like we did, so that also helps.
But yeah, because that Thursday night theater.
But maybe tomorrow we should go to a regular seating and see what the difference is.
I mean, I can't. I'm spoiled by the recliners. It's really hard to sit in regular seats.
But another interesting question that I wanted to ask you and get your take on this. So the Russo brothers and the writers, their names escape me. But
there's a bunch, yeah.
Yeah, but the writers of The Winter Soldier, Civil War, and now Infinity Wars, along with the Russo brothers being the directors of it, they're obviously very good at what they do. But how differently, either positively or negatively, do you think Infinity Wars would have been if Joss Whedon
I've actually thought of that.
Was the one at the helm and writing the movie and directing it?
I've actually thought about that. And it's hard for me to judge because, one, I will always be a Joss Whedon fan because he created Buffy. So it's hard for me to be like, it would be as good or worse. I mean, it's hard because even though the Avengers had its funny moments, it also had its serious and its darker moments. So honestly, I don't know if I could say if it would be better or worse or the same.
I feel like it might have been a little bit lighter. I mean, not too much more, but I feel like it might have been just a little bit more on the lighter side. But I mean, yeah. I mean, the first Avengers movie was like I said, it was my favorite movie of the MCU.
I mean, Age of Ultron wasn't great, but
it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't great. I mean, it's grown on me the more that I've watched it over the years. But I mean, but Age of Ultron also had some dark moments as well, and so
I mean, yeah.
So I mean, I feel like it still could have had that seriousness and like drama and everything, but like yeah, I mean, it would have been interesting to see how Joss Whedon would have.
Do we need a Whedon cut of this movie?
Yes. Yeah. Have Thanos with like a mustache. Yeah.
The Whedon beard. But yeah, so I mean, it would have been interesting to see like how he would have done it,
and like because he also would have been the one writing it. So it's like, what story would he have told? Would it have been like? I mean, the backbone of it would have been the same.
The same, yeah.
But like, what how would he have treated Thanos? How would his character have been? And like what. Would he have had them all separated, or like how what would have been his story if he had told it? It would have been it would have been
like whistling and he's like, hey guys.
Whistling. Like, what is he, the guy from Ant-Man?
But I mean, so yeah, I mean, I don't know. That would have been interesting to see what he would have done. Maybe he would have liked to included the TV people in it. That would have been nice.
Because he is a producer on
that.
But it was. It was a great movie.
It was very well worth the 2 showings that we've gone, and we might even go Saturday morning, because now we won't be taking notes, and then we can just rewatch it again.
Yeah. Because it's so, I don't even have words for it. Like I mean, I hate to use the word epic, but it is just so epic. Like, so much happens. There's not a dull moment where you're just like, oh, it gets really slow here. Even in the slower moments, like
it's informative.
It's informative, and there's usually that's usually when they have the humor in there. Like they got the scene with like Thor and the Guardians and everything. Like it was not a whole lot of action going on. It was like a 10-minute scene, and they're on the ship and or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of humor there. A lot of information. A lot of nice
Gamora's
development
talking about
there.
Thanos and So there's.
I understand family, like just like.
Yeah, well, that whole thing with Star-Lord and
with a deep voice.
Yeah, he comes with a deep voice. I mean,
Quill, are you using a deep voice?
No.
Oh, he's doing it again.
Yeah, that was good.
You're a dude. This is a man.
Yeah, and then they're talking about him being fat and like I don't know.
They're one sandwich away from being fat.
Yeah.
Fine, I'm gonna get a Bowflex. Like I'm committing.
Yeah, those were some good light moments.
Yeah, the Guardians had a lot of the more humor in it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, because like Cap's little. I mean, other than like Okoye being like when Scarlet Witch was like, why hasn't she been here this whole time? Like, why isn't she here?
There's not as much humor in that group. They're
it was more, like there was some with like Stark and his group, and then like the Guardians group had
a little bit. I like Spider-Man's all his pop culture references.
Oh yeah,
Tony Stark's just like one more pop culture reference, and
yeah, that was good. When he's like, "Have you guys seen the movie Aliens?" Like
they lay eggs in me and I eat you. I'm sorry. No more pop culture references out of you.
It's like he just went on like this super like old movie, like not even old, but like older.
He references them all as such. Like, have you ever seen that
Star Wars?
That one old movie with the walkie things on the frozen planet? And I'm just like, oh geez.
Yeah. And they're like, how old is this kid? But yeah, so I think we can both agree that it was a great movie, and
definitely in my top 5 for sure. Where it falls specifically, I don't know yet, but definitely worth going to go see. And if you watch this far, I hope you've seen it already.
You've seen it. If you haven't, then I don't know what you're doing with your life. So
please comment, like this video, let us know some of your theories, maybe some of the references, Easter eggs that we didn't catch or haven't discussed about, or just interesting things that you liked about the movie. We want to read and
converse and theorize with everybody, because that's
like,
part of the fun about
about
this universe is getting to theorize and seeing theories pop up all over the place.
Most of them being wrong.
Yeah, I mean usually, but so yeah, if you liked it, like this video. Subscribe, follow all of our social medias. We're on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter. The links are below. So thank you for watching. Bye.